After easing to a 4-0 win at Wolves on the opening weekend of the new Premier League season, Man City have since suffered back-to-back defeats against Tottenham and Brighton, most recently losing 2-1 away against the latter last weekend. City were leading at half-time and were seemingly in control of proceedings at the Amex until strikes from James Milner, former Man City player, and Brian Gruder turned the game on its head for the Seagulls, Gruder scoring in the 89th minute to complete the comeback win for Brighton and condemn Man City to a second defeat in three league games. So, Stephen, not an ideal start for Man City, not ideal to see them heading into the international break after losing consecutive games. What did you make of Man City's performance overall against Brighton, and what do you believe are the main issues that City and Guardiola are dealing with at the moment?
It feels ages since that game of the transfer window, and it was been quite nice because I needed that separation to get my head around it. The game was a painful one to watch, but I don't think we learned an awful lot. I think it sort of showed where we are, if that makes sense. We we seem incapable right now, Manchester City, and I have for a while of putting together a full 90-minute performance. I actually truly believe the first 60 minutes or so was pretty good for City. The first half in particular, was City were far better than Brighton. 2-0 wouldn't have flattered City. They had the chances. The goal, of course, Haaland missed a 1-on-1. Clear a save on the line as well, and a couple of decent moments getting forward for City. 2-0 would have been, no one would have complained about that. And at that point, and I know Brighton aren't the very best, but still, away from home early on in the season with new players and all the variables into play, it would have been a really good score and a good half. And as it was 1-0, and we seemed pretty controlled. It was a boring start to the second half, but we were passing it around quite nicely until, as we've seen City do so many times over the past 12 months, we pressed the self-destruct button, unfortunately. Nunes with a silly, flick of the arm, undeniably a penalty in this modern era. He doesn't even have the distance to, defend him. He was far enough away, and the reaction was so obvious that there was never not going to be given. And after that, we lost our heads essentially. And the most frustrating thing for me is it didn't feel like Brighton did anything more than other than just up the intensity a little bit. There wasn't a vast tactical change. Brighton just got more physical, more direct, more aggressive, and City couldn't keep up with that, which made it very frustrating. Because in previous years, if City go behind or teams equalise, the great City sides, you expect them just to turn around and go into killer mode. City, if a team equalise, 10 minutes later it'd be 3-1. Like that's the kind of City side we had. There'd be a reaction immediately. Right now, that isn't there, that reaction. And there was more or less zero chances after they went in front for City to equalise. So the result was painful. How much you take from it, your mileage may vary on that. The pessimists will say this is a problem that we can't get the head around. The optimists will say, well, it's very early on and we had a good spell. I've settled more towards the optimist side, but I do have some slight concerns. I do worry about the immediate quality, of some of this side, and I don't mean necessarily their individual ability, but I mean where they are in their careers at Manchester City. You look for that team, and even though Kuznetsov was good, he's still a new name at this Manchester City side. Even though Trafford was good, a new name, Ait Nori, a new player. Oscar Bob, new to this side, really, is a regular. Nunes still new as a right back, you could argue, and Reinders, new. Marmoush still pretty new as a player. You look around that team, and there's a lot of variables and a lot of changing parts, and it does look a little bit confused at times. And I don't think right now, we're leaning on several world class players that we used to, while one or two new guys found their footing. Right now, everyone's sort of got to chip in immediately, and I think we're seeing the effect of that. I do trust in the quality of a lot of these lads to make it eventually or whatever, but I do feel this inability to put it together for 90 minutes. Fitness to an extent, and also conviction and nerves. They are losing their composure and not reacting well to a changing game state, and that to me is concerning. I do think it'll get better with time and rhythm because Guardiola sides are sides that get better with time. That's the thing about Pep sides. Sometimes some sides will reach their peak after a few match days and they'll get to their 8 out of 10 level. Guardiola sides are finely tuned and finely tuned and finely tuned until they go to reach their best around the winter months, and they go on these incredible runs. But that's for a reason, because Pep asks more of the intricacies of these players than most managers do. So I do. There's so many factors there. You could turn around and say the new players. Was it time? Was it fitness? So, long story short, Brighton was frustrating, but there are mitigating factors, and there are some positive take from that. It's just also difficult right now, and it could take an awful bit of time for City to find the best form.
Yeah, that's right. Now, one positive to take away from the match of the weekend was the return of Rodri, who was handed his first Premier League start in 11 months. But he made some interesting comments after the match. He said that some of the mistakes that City are making are like kids' mistakes, and that City not concentrating, not paying attention. And he also said that at the minute, City do not have the level to win game by game. Now, how concerning is it to hear that from someone like Rodri, a key player, a leader in the dressing room at City, someone who's worked under Guardiola for a number of years and knows what it takes to play at the highest level?
It's concerning, with the rumors of Rodri's future. It sort of reminded me of that meme where the fella walks into the empty room with the pieces and there's fire everywhere. Like the team has shifted so much for Rodri that it must have been quite worrying for him, I guess, to look around and see a team that he doesn't recognize. And that's not to say there isn't quality, and that's not to say Rodri doesn't believe that there's, talent there. Uh, but Rodri's a serial winner. He's the best in the world. And this City side that he left was arguably the best. I say left, I mean, when he got his injury, was arguably the best in the world. We're not even close to that right now. And it must feel so weird, being away for a year and coming back to a side that you just don't recognise. You look at the churn of players over the past 12 months alone that were basically in the team when he first, got his injury. People like Edison, Akanji now gone, Kyle Walker, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan moving on, Jack Grealish. There's so many players that were involved in that Alvarez, a year ago, a bit ago. There's so many players that were involved in that City squad that just aren't there anymore. And it's a very different City side. And I think Rodri, the good thing is that I like him saying that publicly because I think Rodri is the stature player that you want to have demanding more of people. Like Rodri is a winner, and we'll get on to Donovan in a bit, but people like him, other winners, and Haaland is a winner. You want those people in the dressing room to bang heads together and get people um, to the standards that you desire. It was concerning to hear it because I'm just a bit worried about his future, but at the same time, that's a long way away, and the immediate effect of that can only be a positive. I think. With Rodri, he wants better, more from people. He'll get it because he's so good.